Hey guys, welcome to another English commentary done by Diggity. I know this is a solo instead of a duel, but I'm putting this up because the rest of them are duels. This is the first set between Hogil and Spear. Lost the audio that I did in a duel with Kenny, so I've already seen this game actually twice. Really quick shout out, Kenny is going to be doing BWCL at 1900 CET, that's 10 a.m. PST. One more time, 1900 CET, which is 10 a.m. PST tomorrow. And if you go to www.bwcl.de, you'll, I believe, get information to go check that out. Happy Easter for those who are watching this on Easter Sunday. Is processing them tonight. And this match is going to be Hogil again versus Spear, the Hite Sparkyz, which I like the name of that. I think it's a drink company. I think I've had a Hite beer before, which was delicious. And this is going to be on God of the Garden, which is somewhat like, or I think it's God of Garden, the God of Garden, there we go. And it plays somewhat like Loki, because you've got the expansion which is behind your base, and then you have another expansion which is in front of your base. So Protoss, I think it's wide enough that Protoss can't really fast expansion on it, but you do have that protected expansion in kind of that back, so you don't have to worry about it as much. Which kind of creates adjusted play. I think on Loki 2 you actually could just take 3 straight up bases. We'll see if it favors Zerg ultimately. I think just kind of the way that these maps are kind of set up, it's going to create a nice set of interesting Terran versus Protoss, Terran versus Zerg. It's just kind of mix things up. And they're just so radically different from the last series of maps, except for Neo Medusa, of course, which has it's Medusa but with an open middle, which actually will change things a lot, but whatever. Get to the game at hand. Hogil, who's a pretty solid Zerg player, is going to be starting in green at the bottom left expansion, bottom right expansion, and we have Spear, who's going to be blue Protoss bottom left. Both players pretty solid. I'm not sure which one I'm going to favor. Hogil's much more of a macro player when I've seen him. He played really well on Zodiac way back in the day. He's been pretty well on maps like that and Andromeda, I think. Is a very creative player. I really like his... every single game I think I've seen him go this far, now that I think about it, I think I've seen him go drops. So I think that is one of the things he enjoys doing. Although the other maps I saw him do it on dropping was kind of an advantage, because you had kind of those hidden island expos that you could take. Spear, we saw him play quite well in the GOM TV Classic. We've seen him kind of out in the field as well. He's a decent Protoss player. I wouldn't say he's a spectacular Protoss player. He's got a ways to go before he's really going to kind of make a splash anywhere. But at the very least, he's a good guy to kind of start out to kind of test the waters in the Pro League season. And I'm very glad that we're back to this sort of format where it's, instead of it just having Team Jaedong, you actually have to put out a couple other players out, which one of the key ones I think is really Haya is actually a big player. But yeah, we'll see how Spear goes out. He's not really outstanding in any of his matchups. I think he's under 50% in all of his matches except for Zerg. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this works out. The one nice thing on this map, it looks like he's going to go Gateway first. Again, you can pull this off because you don't have to go that Forge fast expansion to take your second base. Looks like we're seeing, actually not paying attention, I think that might be a 9 pool there. Could be an over pool, but I think it's a 9 pool for Hogil here. It's a pool on 9, either way. And yeah, we'll see how it moves into the mid game. I'm going to be kind of curious whether Zerg players, because it almost feels like, yeah, kind of Loki-esque, and also I'm trying to think of the map I'm thinking of, kind of, it's not Python-esque, but it's one of those maps that kind of favors Savior style of play, where kind of troop positioning across that the area between your two bases, and kind of outflanking, outmaneuvering your opponent. So it's kind of macro, and then in the mid-game being able to move your troops around fairly effectively, specifically positioning your units to kind of do group flankings and whatnot. Looks like a drone blocking that front door while that second expansion, that's that second expansion back behind the mineral line. Drone just kind of hanging out there trying to deny information. No Zerglings being taken, so or being produced at this stage, oddly enough. And that probe scout going to come around. It's going to go to this bottom right hand corner. Let's see if it can break through that single drone blockade. I don't know that that drone will be up for it. There is that pool up, and the Zerglings should be produced momentarily. And that drone just getting that probe a little bit off the way to deny information. So Hogil might be thinking about doing some trees, and the Zergling kind of sneaking around, coming out as well. And it looks like that Zealot going to come back to home base. A little bit worried, and the second Zealot is on that front door to block up that front door, and as soon as that second Zealot gets there, you should be okay. So immediately an interesting 3 hatchery build from Hogil. Usually you have to worry a little bit more about Zealot pressure, but again, he's feeling the lack of Zealot pressure, so realizing that it's kind of a fast expansion off that quick Zealot. And again, it almost feels like the entire dynamics of Zerg versus Protoss is a little bit off on this map. So it should be really, really fun to watch overall. And really, and I'm hoping what it'll do is just because It's just kind of not, it's atypical of a map that'll really kind of adjust thinking in the game altogether, and we'll just kind of see kind of different unit combinations, particularly in the early game, but also in the mid game. It looks like that drone just kind of wandering around, trying to break through to get a good look at what's going on. That third hatchery has been taken, and now gas mine being mined from Hogil. So Hogil at 3 bases, Nexus still not up. And this is, I really like Hogil's efficiency here. He produced a lot of Zerglings early instead of drones, but he's going to have a pretty solid economy into the mid game with those 3 hatcheries. Oh, and the probe just going in down, but not quite able to do it. Those Zerglings producing a pretty solid blockade. And it looks like he's going to, making a run through it. Oh, and those Zerglings' leg just got broke. They just totally bit on that head fake. Probe Scout going to be able to sneak through, and that really hurts for Hogil because he produced additional Zerglings to try to push that back. He's going to be able to sneak in, see that Hydralisk den. He's going to see the fact, he's going to basically know that there's 3 hatcheries up, and whenever you have that many Zerglings chasing a probe off, it's almost embarrassing. And he's going to be able to see this back base. He's going to get really the good look he wanted to see, I think, was see that gas, and seeing that gas isn't up, I think he's going to be in a good position. Going to lose that probe now, but got all the information he was looking for. Now the question is what does Hogil do from here? In a pretty solid position still. He's still got a pretty decent economy, but again, he did end up losing that scout. Hydra is starting to wander up towards the front door. Just Zealots on the front door in the meantime, and it looks like a Stargate, so playing pretty standard otherwise. Second gas, so it looks like there's going to be some sort of push to tech. And Hogil producing a lot of attack forces, so he's got a lot of Hydralisks and more Zerglings being produced. So he's going to start hitting this front door, and I like this maneuver because he knows that there's not going to be any, he knows that he went gateway first, and he knows there's not going to be a lot of that forge and additional cannons to protect that front door. Overlord just kind of hanging out here to get a good look, and it looks like that Dragoon trying to usher that Overlord away before that next degree of tech is taken. But honestly, this is going to hurt a lot because it's only a single Dragoon to fend off a lot of Hydralisks. The Hydralisk is going to be able to pick away at the Zealots, and as soon as 1 or 2 Zealots are down, those Zerglings are going to really be able to push. And I like this maneuver here by Hogil as well. He's only got that single Hydralisk trying to keep the rest of those Zerglings back so they're not really spotted out. Gave away his hand a little bit there when he pushed through, and now probes coming off the line. The Zerglings all running in. There is one Corsair above to try to, it looks like it's going to run up, do some harassments. A shield battery down because he realizes he does not have enough troops to hold this. So it's going to be up to the probes to do a lot of this work, and now putting a cannon down finally, realizing kind of the mistake a little bit late. And there's still a Zealot, still a Dragoon, but a lot of probes blocking that ramp, and more units coming from Hogil. So Hogil's really going to try to shove this forward. Will the probes be able to blockade? And that is a ton of probes. Will they be able to use the shield battery as well? That's it for the Zealot. Dragoon completely vulnerable. Zerglings pouring through, able to take the Dragoon down, and now it's 3 Hydralisks and a good grouping of Zerglings against probes alone. More probes coming off the line. This is really disrupting Spear's mining. Another Zealot with the shield battery behind to try to fight the rest of this off. But the thing is even if Spear does manage to fight this off, he's going to have a hard time because he's lost so many drones. The question is now, did Hogil commit with the troop commitment of Hogil? And it looks like Hogil's going to back up now. Should be able to save that Overlord, and a second cannon going down. He's going to pick off a couple more probes on the front door. Was that worth the troop commitment? And I think it was. He killed a ton of probes there, really setting Spear economically behind. That's the nice thing for Zerg, is because you have, and still continuing with this attack, you can see just two probes there on that main, which is almost acting like a secondary at this stage. I think there was about 8 or 9 probes there on that natural expansion secondary, which is again more protected. The cannon not being taken down. Still some Zerglings kind of hanging outside. The Hydra's just trying to pound away that cannon side. Ooh, able to sneak through, take that cannon out. Not able to take the it's still 2 Zerglings square through, but this is really done. This is economic devastation for Spear. He just lost so many probes. And now, but Hogil, the question is can he capitalize after spending so many larvae on pure troops? He did end up losing a lot of Hydralisks and a lot of Zerglings otherwise. So, and he's just continuing to throw those Zerglings out to force those drones to come off the line, hurting even more economic build time. So Spear in a bit of a bad situation, I would say. Look, Hydralisk underneath there trying to hit away, but he's not going to be able to save that Overlord before it goes down. Of course, there is going to have to back off, however. Looks like it managed to get 3 kills there, so equalizing things pretty nicely by getting 3 Overlord kills while all these units were pouring into the front base. 3 Zealots on the line as well as a cannon and a shield battery. I think that's going to be the end of that attack. So now, who's done more economic damage? With 3 Overlords actually in the mix there, I almost feel like it's a bit of a reset. I think Spear is still behind. It looks like Spear stopped gas altogether. He's not mining gas at either base. So thinking about maybe transitioning to a large Zealot attack, or maybe he just feels that he needs to continue to pump probes, get some more minerals going, maybe try to rush out, put down a pylon, and take those 3, and put down a couple cannons blind. Well, the Corsairs are keeping those Hydralisks back. See if that pays off. Another hatchery. So now a 4 hatchery build for Hogil. It looks like he's going to mostly dedicate to Hydralisks. A couple of those. Ooh, one of those Corsairs is going to get picked off. Maybe. Oh, does manage to sneak out. Wow, I'm surprised one of them didn't. Ooh. Oh, man, just a sliver of health left as it's backing out. Overlord starting to come back home. But now the Hydra's starting to push front door. And no, it looks like he's just going to put down 3 more gateways. He has enough gas in the bank to get a Citadel of Doom with the speed upgrade. Yeah, neither base producing gas here, so he's just going to go with a Zealot attack on the front door. Will Hogil be able to spot this? This is the question. This could be effective if Hogil's not prepared, if he's in kind of the wrong unit composition, if he takes additional expansions, if he basically is caught completely by surprise in those Corsairs, again out in the field trying to keep those Overlords back. I think Hogil will have speed in not too long. Ooh, one of the Corsairs getting picked off, though. The other one's looks like not able to get any more kills, but on the front door. So and it looks like a Spire being produced by Hogil as well. And that's another gas. So they're going to be 3 gas. I think he's going to be in a much better economic position, so it's really going to come down to units in position, Sunken Colonies in position to deal with this Zealot attack that's going to be coming out, and when that Zealot attack decides to press forward. So it looks like that Spire is on the way. I don't think any Mutalisks are going to be produced off this. I think it's mostly just to keep the Corsair count low. Could transition tech, because this, with 4 hatcheries and 3 gas, you can do a lot. And I think that's 3 gas. There is I'm not on crack, am I, with the no gas in the secondary? I guess we'll see momentarily. But now Hogil's starting to move up. That Corsair still checking things out, seeing all the probes on the field. I think that's the other reason we don't see any transition check. And key for Hogil here, sending another Overlord scout and seeing those. First of all, he's going to see all these gateways, and he's going to see that Citadel of Adun, and specifically he's going to see that there isn't a Templar Archives. So he's going to be well prepared. Zealots wandering out, and he's also going to see this huge amount of Zealots, and it looks like, yeah, bringing those Hydralisks back, and now some Lurkers being morphed, and this is going to be a terrible situation for Spear, the worst unit combination you could possibly have in this game. Speed Hydralisks versus Speed Zealots with Lurker support. Yeah, and those Lurkers at the just first of all they tear Zealots apart, and when you have Speed Hydralisks to kind of just push them back on top of that, you can get a lot of free hits, and it looks like these Lurkers are going to have plenty of time to morph. And Spear committing a lot of troops, going basically that was all he could do, I guess, at this stage, and that's what I'm talking about. Those Hydralisks wandering up, taking out, trying to take out a Zealot. I think he managed to take out that one Zealot. Another Corsair getting another Overlord kill here, but an Evolution Chamber down just to get the upgrades. But yeah, now it's just something like siege tanks. You can use those Lurkers to kind of push forward bit by bit. This is going to make it so he doesn't have any map control, and also he's just, those troops are just so vulnerable. And Hogil, if he wants to, can just press these Zealots right back in, maybe even do an attack on that front door without any detection to kind of support. So Zealot checking out the northern edge of that map just to kind of do a little bit of an examination. And yeah, a big grouping of Speed Hydralisks and a couple Lurkers just pressing forward into this. The Lurkers, now they're going to burrow. The Zealots turning around like, no, you don't, push back. The Observatory is up, but again, with any number of Zealots, you don't want to go up against a line like that. And oh, wow, Hogil loading up. He's going to go for a drop. And let's see if Spear spots this. This is very clever. He's going to drop in that secondary, which is not protected. There are some cannons over the main as well. It looks like a Dark Templar, a couple High Templar. He is going to spot this, but I don't think those Zealots are going to be able to cycle around in time to get all the way into the back base to provide any degree of defense. Hogil checking out that front door to see if he's going to commit some more troops, I think, to that front. A High Templar cycling that direction, but it's too late. It looks like a lot of that is, let's see if he'll bunch up those Hydralisks, I'm sorry, those Lurkers, to where that High Templar will be super effective and nice. Blockading that ramp with some of those Lurker eggs. Really clever maneuver there. Dark Templar trying to move up, but the Lurkers right there on the ramp, using that inverted ramp to their advantage. Ooh, dodging that storm, that's really clever. And another egg coming up. That was clever, a Lurker dodge, basically. Unmorphing those eggs to just kind of run them back up. And now another blockade, and it looks like Observer's going to get sniped as well by those Scourge and that Overlord. So nice on Hogil's part. That's going to make getting rid of those Lurkers even harder. He's going to have to expend Storm to do so, and they're pretty well spread out. Devastating for Spear. His economy was already hurting after that early harassment, hurting even more into this mid-game. More Lurkers starting to, it looks like another drop coming in momentarily. Let's see if it goes into that front door. Could be a fake in theory. I think that Zealot is running into that backfield just to check out how many troops are there. But they could also go straight on that front door, and those zealots are going to have to commit one direction or the other. And if they commit to the front door, then the zealots are basically going to be out of position for those lurkers coming up the ramp. Looks like they are starting to move that direction. And if they commit to the back door, it's it's vice versa. Hogil looks like he does have a drone to that upper right hand corner to take a bit of map position there as well. Scourge looking for something but not finding it, and the rest of those lurkers kind of moving their way back up at that front. This is what I was talking about. All these units out of position to really defend here. The Scourge kind of going underneath, and it looks like Spear just getting kind of a little bit complacent. Lurkers, oh man, Lurkers are going to be able to establish position on that ramp and get very difficult for units to support there, especially Zealots that have to run headlong down that ramp. And now he's being attacked from basically two angles, and he has no detection to deal with either, and it doesn't look like he had any Storm to deal with either as well. This is going to be GG. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you. Listen to set 2. I do have Kenny alongside. Sorry about not having the sound process on the first match. It was very epic, and Kenny's very fun to cast with. Hope you guys enjoy this. Thanks for listening.